How's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for hopping on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of
We're
course.
all
Thank you.
super excited to hear what you've been doing with the telesales. I mean, our team has kind of really adapted to it. We've been doing the Zoom rooms just like your team has been doing.
Hmm.
And what we've found is a lot of us have been doing live transfers, and we're
Hmm.
realizing that it's really costly to do live transfers compared to
It
just
is.
on a CRM. So we're really excited to learn from you tonight and kind of hear what you've been doing. So first of all,
Awesome.
can you just introduce yourself, how long you've been in the business, when you started, and how much you've issue paid so far. I know it's a lot.
Yeah. So, well, first off, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. You guys are all killing it. So I'm super excited to be on this call. I was a little bit background. I was with a different insurance company before. Um, I finally got to the point where it was just like, I just couldn't. My brother, I don't know if you've watched the YouTube videos or any podcasts I've done with my story, but my brother was like hounding me, wanting to join. And I was just like, no. And
Yep.
so I had to really kind of take a step back and be like, okay, if I can't let my family or none of my friends knew what I was doing, I'm like, do I even like believe in this company or what I'm doing myself?
Right.
And it got to the point where I wasn't able to bring on a new agent and know that I could help them be successful, And so
Yeah.
I was like, I was making a good income. I was making, six figures there. And I decided to just take a step back when Josh Williams left. That really caught my eye and I was like, wait, what? And so
Yeah. Because he was
called
doing pretty
him.
well there, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So we were like kind of making around, the same amount. And so it was kind of like, dang, why is he leaving? Because I saw
Yeah.
people leave, but it was just because like they weren't doing that well or things like that. And so um I thought that was definitely on my radar, but I was like, hey, I have a good thing going here. I'm just gonna stick it out.
Yep.
Um, and then when he left, it was like the perfect timing because I knew that I didn't want to be with that company long term for many reasons. And I really was like, you know what? I'm never going to be the person that puts money ahead of like my morals and what I
Yeah.
will do for people. And so I really was just like, I can't tell somebody I'm going to bring them on and help them be successful when I know that they can't,
Yeah.
like we don't have the resources for that. So long story short, I ended up getting contracted with the FFL and I didn't do anything for like 3 months. I just took some time off. I just reevaluated if I even wanted to do insurance anymore at all. I was just really burnt out in the industry. Um, and the thought of having to like regrow a team was just like, seriously, like it took me a
Yeah.
year and a half to get to where I was, and now I'm like, I have to start all over. Um, so long story short, so he called me one day and he's like, Erika, what are you doing? And I looked around at different avenues and I was like, there's nothing that I'm going to make as much money as insurance,
Yep.
at a quick level. So I really just went out. I flew out to Kentucky with him, got trained because didn't really believe like the numbers were real. I was one of those
Yeah.
people. I'm like, there's no way,
I didn't
whatever,
either.
yeah. So he came out and I was like, dang, okay, this is crazy. Like I remember my first appointment, the guy was like, oh yeah, you're here for the life insurance. And I'm like, wait, what? Like,
You're like, no
we're
bait and switch.
yeah, I was like, wait, how is this is like actual people like request this? I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Um, and so I worked for like 2 weeks in September and I got COVID. And then I was just wiped me out all of September. So October was my first month. And I just decided, I was like, I don't want to go in homes. I've done that before at my other company. I love doing virtual traveling. And I was like, I'm just going to figure this telesales out,
Yes.
And so I was like, if I can sell over Zoom at the other company with like a bait and switch, I can sell people that want life insurance over the phone, or
Yeah.
over Zoom. So I honestly, like the first week and a half, I was like, shoot, I don't think this is going to work. It was a lot of trial and error, like a ton. And then I kind of just found out what worked, what didn't, what to say, how to phrase things, how to ask for the right information. And my first month working here, I submitted 57,000. So every month
Insane.
yeah. So I've only been here. This is my third month. So last month I submitted a little over 40. is 45 or so. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, thanks for sharing that. This was my first engages too. Like we didn't know how bad the industry was. So like, I feel like we take it for granted. Like our first company in the insurance game was FFL. So we take it for granted, not knowing how poorly these agents are getting treated at other companies and how good we have it with the leads that we have. So
sure.
I do appreciate you mentioning that. And I agree. People will think the numbers aren't real. And I always tell them like, I brought my mom into this business. Like my mom is an agent. Like why would I bring my mom into this company if I didn't believe, I wouldn't do that to her. So that's cool that you can do that now, knowing your brother, if he wants to get into it.
He's getting licensed already. My mom just is going through contracting.
Yeah, that's probably such a good feeling knowing you can bring them on to something that they'll make good money.
For sure,
so
it is.
Let's get right into it. Is someone talking? Oh, okay. Let's get right into it with your lead strategy, and then we'll go into a full call to close if that's okay with you. I watched that one that you and Mel did, and I loved that. So I wanted to go through like a full call to close with you once you go over some lead strategy. So what does that look on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah. So pretty much all I'm running, I do like a mix of stuff. I incorporate a little bit of the live transfers. I don't solely rely on those. I get them. And two, like, I think so many people jumped on board that it's like the call is just like down, is how many you're getting. And they're really expensive, like $60, $70, $80. And I'm a big fan of like duplication. And if I can't, tell a new agent, hey, go get 15 states, sign up for live transfers. And then it's like, we have a Zoom room, and it's like, if you go on just live transfers, you're just going to be sitting there,
like waiting around for a call. Yeah,
exactly. So we just push people. Like, I don't even talk about live transfers to the new agents at all. We pretty much run just the CRM leads. So if a new agent's coming in and they're, on a tighter budget, like they'll purchase 3-month-old leads. You can buy 100 of them for, $300. I never buy less than 100 or more than 120 leads at a time. Okay. So that's kind of my lead, what I'll order. So when I typically buy them, I'll do like a mix of 50 instance and then, 60, 70, 1 months. So kind of a mixture of those two. And then I have ran some of the game time leads, which I really enjoy them. They're a little bit more, they're more expensive. It's a higher quality lead. Yeah. But I solely just did CRM leads up until recently. And I'm getting busier like with my team and have more like recruiting and stuff like that going on. I've put more money into leads because, it's like I always tell people, you either have time or you have money, so yeah, but like today I wrote 4 policies and they were all CRM leads. So, I think sometimes people get the bad taste in their mouth with virtual. They're like, you have to buy more leads to sell more. And I don't necessarily think that's true. You're going to have to buy a little bit more. Like in the field, when I ran a couple of weeks, I was buying 100 leads. Now I'm buying 120, 110, but I'm not having to travel. I'm not having to waste gas or do any of that stuff, so it definitely evens out. So
definitely.
That's kind of my lead strategy.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we have had, like, I know a lot of new agents have kind of complained about internet leads or the CRM leads. But with your mindset going into it, like you came from a company where you had to bait and switch people and the leads you guys got were like, 3 years old, right? They were free leads, but they're 3 years old, right?
And I would have to go to my manager and like, literally it was like this, like a proposition as to like get more leads. Like, okay, if you give me 30 more leads, I'm going to write this much of business and I'm going to work this many days. And if I wasn't working, they could take your leads away, or like, it was just like crazy. And so coming here, when agents like complain about leads, I'm like, dude, you have no idea how good you get it.
I know.
Like, I'm genuinely confused.
Like, yeah. I mean, I've done it before. I've complained about, oh my God, that lead sucks. I've done it before and I've caught myself now because I'm like, wait, this is a person. This is someone that filled out a form. Yeah, they might hang up on me, but it just wasn't the right time. They still filled out the form. They're still a person that needs our help.
Sure. And I kind of have like, sometimes I do think we can overhype like, oh, the leads, they all request it, so when a new agent comes in, I'm just super transparent with them. I'm like, listen, you're going to get, 100 leads. You're really just looking for the 3 to 5 people that want to buy insurance.
Exactly. So, yes.
And when you think of it and you like teach your agent that way, they're like, okay, I'm expecting all the no's. I'm expecting all of the, the resistance from a client. All I'm really looking for is 3 to 5 people that want to say yes, and that haven't gotten it taken care of yet, so.
How do you deal with that, like emotionally? Because I do feel like it's kind of hard on, especially newer agents when they get that much rejection.
Yeah. I dealt with that in the beginning myself too. And I was like, these leads suck, like blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, you get your first sale and you're like, okay, wow, I spent this much money and I got paid this much. Like these leads are great. Like I can just go buy them whenever I want. So I think it's like, I always tell people like, you have to, this business is so mental. Like you literally, if you can learn to control your emotions, you will be a freaking millionaire at this business and you work hard, because it's really all it is. Like I see it happen all the time. Agents will be like, I didn't make, a sale. I'm like, well, how many dials have you done? Well, 200, and they're like, I'm like, dude, don't talk to me. We have this like rule. It's like 1,000 dials or $1,000 a day, and this one girl, she loved her. And she was like, I just, I'm kind of in a rut. Like, I feel like I've been calling, and I'm like, okay, well, you haven't been on Zoom, and so we can't help you. And she's a newer agent. So what'd she do? She hopped on Zoom. I was like, okay, all I want you to focus on is 1,000 dials or $1,000, and she has a baby and a mom, and, and she, doesn't want to, nobody wants to be spending all day dialing.
No.
Right. So if you have it in your mindset, not like I'm going to go write 30,000 this month, right? Just do $1,000 a day. What does that equal out to? $30,000 a month if you work every day. Right. So what'd she do? She hopped on Zoom. She unmuted, gave her some coaching. Next call she got on, she wrote a sale. She was done for the day. Next day gets on, does her dials. She doesn't, she makes a sale 2 p.m. She's done for the day. Literally, this girl has made a sale pretty much every single day just by her mindset changing of, okay, I'm going to either do 1,000 dials today, or I'm going to do $1,000.
I love that.
That's just something that people can grasp. Right. And it's something that you can track, so we did a training in Arizona with a group of new agents. And one day we were kind of like letting them listen, but they were dialing. We worked 8 to 8. We're like, and we kind of just wanted to observe things. Right? Yeah. We all got together. They're like, a couple of them made a sales, a few of them didn't. We're like, how many dials did you do? Oh, 300. And we're like, okay, how many did you do? 250. We worked all day. This, we didn't make anything. We're like, okay. Then we did the 1,000 dials or $1,000. So we're like, so tomorrow, and we're going to lock in. You're going to find a spot in the house from 8 to 11. We're going to dial, or 8 to 12. We're going to take an hour break and we're going to go again. They had more dials in their first session. They did as many in their first session as they did the entire day, the previous day.
Wow.
So it's like, if you're saying this leads don't work or the system doesn't work, like, I don't know, there's sure a lot of a heck of people that are writing business off of them. So like, what does your activity look like? Because activity at the end of the day beats anything.
Yeah.
So that's.
Are you using a phone burner or any sort of dialing system?
Yeah, we use phone burner. 100%.
Awesome. That's like a game changer. If you're going to be dialing internet leads, you have to have phone burner.
Oh yeah. I won't work with anybody that won't have phone burner.
Like, you better get that going.
Like, you're wasting your time. Like, don't even pick up the phone.
Yeah. Physically dialing is not fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Me either. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for that. Let's go ahead and do the call to close. And can I kind of give you some objections throughout and how you handle those?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So I'm a 1 month old internet CRM internet lead.
Perfect. Hi, Michaela.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Erica. I'm giving you a call from the Benefit Center for the state of Florida. I'm just giving you a call in regards to a request that you sent in for some information about our state life insurance programs. You listed your date of birth as 10/10/1985. Is that correct?
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about though.
Hey, it's okay. If you're anything like me, I forget what I had for breakfast. You filled out a request online for some life insurance. And that's your date of birth, I assume?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we have your address as 100 Main Street, your height, your weight. So I'm just calling about this request just to get this taken care of. Now we're doing everything over the phone just because of the pandemic. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper real quick so we can get this out of the way. It should only take about 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm driving.
Okay, well, why don't you go ahead? I don't want you to get in a wreck. Why don't you go ahead and pull over real quick? I can just hang on the phone for a second.
All right. I'm pulled over.
Okay, perfect. So I'm not sure if you can find a pen and paper in your car. I can always give it to you later. Do you have something to write with real quick?
Yeah, I do.
Perfect. Okay, so I want you to write down my name. It's Erika Walker.
Okay.
And my state producer number is 12345. Okay. So with this number, you can go to the Department of Insurance website, plug it in. Okay, you can see who I am just so that you know who I am. They do require us to give that to you. Okay.
Okay.
So now, do you have a good email that I can use to send some over? I have an email listed on file. Do you have access to pull that up on your phone?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So now, have you been trying to get approved for life insurance, or am I the first person you've been able to talk to?
Yeah. I've been shopping around. I'm trying to find the best cost.
Okay. Well, hey, good news is this process is going to be super simple for you then. I'm a broker with the state. Okay. So my job is a little different than the sales reps. Okay. I'm on the medical side of things. So my job is just to pull up all the options for you and see what we can get you with the best rate. Okay.
Okay.
Now, obviously, life insurance is not something that you can just buy. You do have to qualify for it. Okay. So what I'm just going to do is ask you just a few medical questions. Okay. And then we'll go over some options. All right.
Okay.
Now, have you ever been denied for life insurance before?
No.
Okay, perfect. And you currently don't have any, right?
Well, I have some through work.
Okay, well, that doesn't really count because that's going to go away when you leave. So we'll make sure to get you some permanent coverage setups. Okay. Let's see. So now just answer yes or no. Any heart attacks, cancers, strokes?
No.
No. Any high blood pressure, COPD, kidney, liver disease?
No.
No anxiety, depression, anything like that?
No.
Okay. Are you taking medications for anything at all?
Yeah, I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I take insulin.
Okay, perfect. Now, based off your medical questions, not sure, if we can get you approved. Okay, but we do work with a lot of companies, so hopefully we'll be able to find one that will approve you. But if we can't get you approved, are you at least putting any money aside in savings in case of any emergencies at all?
I try my best.
Okay.
Probably like $100.
Okay. Hey, something's better than nothing. Okay. So people typically fill out this request for one of the three things. They just want to cover their funeral and final expenses. Two, they want to cover like mortgage or larger bills. Okay. Or three, they want for like income replacement or leaving a legacy, leaving money behind. What was your main concern?
I wanted just funeral expenses, and then I have some grandkids I want to leave some money to.
Oh, okay, perfect. So let me ask you this. If you passed away yesterday, what would today look like? Who would be taking care of your arrangements?
I guess my son.
Your son? How old is he?
He's 19.
Oh, wow. So he's a youngster. So he's definitely not in the financial position to be able to fork out $20,000-$30,000 for your burial, right?
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I'm glad, we're going to get this taken care of so that, on the worst day of your son's life, he doesn't have to worry about how things are going to be taken care of. Okay. Or reach out to friends or family to, borrow money. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to go ahead and write down a few things. Okay. So I want you to put down 30,000. Then I want you to write down 20,000. And then I want you to write down 10,000. Okay. So now this is the amount when I plugged in your age based off your age and health. These are some of the different options that you can choose from that go to your family. Okay.
Okay.
So this policy, it's called a whole life policy. Okay. Now, luckily you're still in the age range where you're able to qualify for this. Now, Michaela, this is a really big deal because it's one of the most popular types of coverage. Okay. Because it lasts your entire life. Okay. So you'll never have to worry about dealing with life insurance again. Okay.
Okay.
So next to the 30,000, I want you to write down $300. Okay. So that's the monthly price for this program. Okay.
All right.
It's a top plan that you can qualify based off your age and health. Okay. Now this plan is for people that are pretty smart with their money. Okay. Really good position financially. Okay. Maybe like you're already putting some money away into savings. Okay. And it's actually building a cash value. Okay. So say, 5-10 years down the road, things get tight. You can pull money from that policy. Okay. The price never goes up and you're locked in. Okay. So this is going to cover all of your burial, your final expenses, and leave some money behind. Okay. Now, the next option is the 20,000. Okay. This is probably one of the more popular programs that people typically go with. This one's $200 a month. Okay. Now, this is pretty much just like the bare minimum, making sure that your funeral and your final expenses are covered. Okay. It's for people that are maybe on, a little bit more of a tighter budget. Okay. Now, the last option is the 10,000. Okay. This is kind of like the starter program. Okay. This is for $100 a month. Okay. So this is for people that are more on like a tighter budget on unemployment or a super fixed income. Okay. But no matter what, this is set up for people that no matter what their situation is, that they'll be able to, that when something happens to you, that your funeral's taken care of, or at least some of it is, so that you're not being irresponsible and putting that on somebody else to take care of. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, Michaela, like I said, unfortunately, I don't make the final decisions. The insurance company does. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can qualify for not. We still have to submit your application. Okay. But if you do end up qualifying, do you prefer to leave your family with the 30,000 or the 20,000?
Well, I still haven't done all my shopping. I wanted to get more quotes from other people.
I totally understand. So that's a nice thing. When I put your information into our system, it gives me all the companies of the price ranges. So that's pretty much the best that we came up with. So I've already done the shopping for you. We're kind of like the Expedia of insurance. Okay. So, and we can't commit really to anything today. We just have to see if you can qualify. Cause like I said, you just can't buy life insurance. So that's up to the company. Okay. So which one, if you can even qualify, do you want to leave your family with, the 30 or the 20,000?
20.
The 20,000? Okay, yeah. Perfect. Okay. So I'll go ahead and just finish filling this out, and then I just fill out the application.
Well, I don't want to give out my social.
Okay. So we don't do any blood work or any in-home exams. Okay. So how they base their decision is just off of your medical background. Okay. So what's your social?
345.
Okay.
What about banking info? What if they don't want to give banking info?
Okay. So I asked them, so Michaela, who do you bank with?
Bank of America.
Okay, perfect. So when I pull up Bank of America in our system, it shows that the routing number is 12345. Can you just verify that for me?
Yeah, let me look. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, perfect. And then what's your account number?
Oh, I don't want to give that. I don't feel comfortable.
Oh, so you must have misunderstood. Michaela, on the bottom of your check that you like when you write a check to like the Girl Scout cookies when they come to your door, right? That has your routing and account number on it. Okay. So that's meant to be passed around. Okay. What you don't want to pass around is your debit card. You don't want to give that to anybody else. Okay. Because then they can go on a shopping spree. Okay. So what's your account number?
I love that. That's legit.
when you say it that way,
Yeah.
have you ever written like, a check to like your neighbor or the Girl Scout cookies? They're like, well, yeah, your account number and routing number is right on there. And so saying that's meant to be passed around, they're like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it is true. That's what checks are for. You write a check to a person and give it to someone.
Yep, exactly.
That's legit.
Those are the biggest two objections that I get. And even if I'm writing like an Aetna policy or any policy, before I ask for the social, I always say like, okay, or before I ask for the banking, I say you're pre-approved.
Okay.
Right? Because people aren't going to want to give you their banking if they'll be like, well, I don't even know if I'm approved yet. Right. But if I say, hey, Michaela, so you're actually, congratulations. Looks like you're pre-approved. Do you just have to finish submitting the application to see the final decision? So what's that banking so we can get this in place if you are approved? Right. And I don't like beat around the bush. Some people are like, well, yeah, for banking, just to verify you've never done any insurance. No, they're going to take the money out of your account.
Right.
So I'm just like, no, they're going to, if you're approved, this is the account that they're going to draft your policy once a month. So you don't have to worry about it. So just being like straight up with people, and then for the social, I just say, all right, so, they don't run any in-home exams or any blood work. Well, how they decide if they're going to cover you is just based off of your medical background that's attached to your social. What's your social? And then
I love how every objection I gave you, it was like you acknowledged it and then you just ask it again. Like you were just like, I'm like, what's your I'm like, I don't want to give my social. You're like, oh, well, they don't do it even because what's your social?
Yeah. I always like follow up with, okay, what's your account number? What's your social?
Yeah. Just ask it again. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Now, how do you kind of tie it down? So let's say we get the application in, and then how are you kind of making them feel like, oh, I'm your agent for life now?
Yeah. So I go, okay, Michaela. So on that sheet next to, congratulations, looks like you've been approved. Okay. So on that sheet of paper, I'm going to give you my direct line. Okay. So and I give my phone number. Then I say, now, doesn't matter day or night. If you have any questions, give me a call. Okay. I'll tell them the company of that they're going to get. Your company is, Americo. Okay. This is how much it is. I say all that before. And then I close it out by just saying, here's my direct line. Day or night, you need anything, I'm your person. Okay. Give me a call if you need to, if you want to add coverage or, if this is too tight and you will need to lower it, give me a call as well. Okay. And I'll take care of that for you. Because then when you give them permission to call you to lower their premium, what are they going to do? They're going to call you if they need to lower it.
Right.
If you don't say that, what are they going to do? They're going to call the
company
because they're embarrassed to lower their program.
Right. Right.
So, and I'll say sometimes like before I submit an application, I'll say, okay, now, I take my job very seriously. Now I just want to make sure, life insurance isn't something that you just put in place for like a couple months. This is something that you need to maintain.
Yes.
Now, is this price, is this maintainable for you? Because if it's not, let's just lower it right now to make it, comfortable for you. And then they'll be like, actually, yeah, I can, or no, I need to. Okay, perfect. I'll submit the application.
I gotcha. Yeah. I was going to ask, because you asked me if I saved money. What was your, why did you ask that question?
So I don't really ask like after, your income, how much I want to know if you're putting any money in, if you have any money left over after all of your bills. Right. So then I can use that to my advantage. If at the very end you say you can't afford it or, things are tight, then I'll know, well, you're spending at least $100 a month putting it in savings. So I added that into my option. But most people do that are smart, that are already saving money. This is what they do. They allocate their money into an insurance program that's going to pay out and earn a higher interest rate.
And that's why you mentioned the cash value.
So I'm kind of just, instead of point blank asking them, if they have any money left over, and I use that to kind of gauge where I'm going to quote them. With whole life, I always quote 30, like the highest, right? But if I'm doing like a term and I'm like kind of iffy, of like, where do I go? You're not going to quote like a 50-year-old, a $400, $500 a month policy. if they're like on Social Security,
Right.
so I use that to kind of gauge the price range of what. Sometimes I just straight up ask people, like, how much do you want to spend a month on your life insurance?
Yeah. Just like
They're
the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I found that I always in home, I break down the budget with them because I'm like, oh, this is your monthly income. And I write it all out. But like on the phone, it's been hard for me to get the budget breakdown. And so that's why I was asking that. So you ask if there's savings, so you know that you have some money to work with.
Yeah. People don't, if you're over the phone with somebody and number one, sometimes, if you're already kind of fighting them to fill this out. Somebody started asking me how much I make a month and what's left over. I'd be like, that's really none of your bit. Like I'd hang up on you, know? So, but if somebody asked me like, hey, Eric, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get you approved, but are you at least able to put any money away in savings in case of an emergency?
Yeah, that was really good.
You at least have $60 to spend, $60 to $80 to spend on a policy.
It's a very like non-threatening way to get it out of them. And then, so if I were to say, no, I'm not saving, how would you
I would just say, oh, so you're living like paycheck to paycheck, and they're like, yeah, you can still save $10 a week.
Right.
Into a policy, and so then I'll push it harder on the lower program. Now, Michaela, this is for people, that are living paycheck to paycheck on a tight budget. This is $40, $50 a month. Hey, everybody can find $10, $15 a week, right?
Yeah.
To put towards
breaking it down to smaller numbers, $1 a day.
Yeah. Because then they're like psychologically thinking like, that's really only $10 a day. Shoot. Maybe I live paycheck. When I was broke living paycheck to paycheck, I still went to Starbucks.
Right. Right. There's still, you can still find money that they're spending. Yeah.
I still got my nails done.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, shoot, you can, it's your priorities. And so if you're not making this a priority for them, and then another objection, if they're like, no, I don't want to deal with it. It's like, okay, Michaela, listen. So I want you to write down $30,000 on that sheet of paper. And then I want you next year, I want you to write down $50 a month. Okay. Now, one of these are inevitable. Okay. You can either have your son pay the $30,000 for your funeral. Okay. That you don't have a choice. You're going to die. Okay. That's not optional. Now, $50 a month for your life insurance policy, that is optional. Okay. But do you either want to pay the cost of not having any life insurance and put that burden on your son, or do you want to pay the price for $50 a month to make sure that this is taken care of?
Love that. Like you have a choice to either leave them with a $30,000 debt or $50 a month. That's your choice. So is that what you're saying? Like, because I think you guys went over that with Mel, the think about it. Like, let's say we went through the quotes and we were getting to it. I just really want to think about it. I just really need to think about it.
I don't typically use that on the think about it. I'll use that on the, like, I can't afford it. If they're like, I can't afford it, I want to think about it, I'll use that. I'll really just lean in towards like, listen, there's really nothing to think about right now. Like we don't even know if you're approved, right? So which amount is comfortable for you? And then if they're like, well, I just need to talk it over with my spouse, blah, blah, blah. I'd say, listen, I've had this happen, I sure hope it doesn't happen to you, but I've had clients, give me that objection, give me that answer, and they like pass away that day. Like, do you think let me ask you, do you think your husband's going to be happy or upset if you died on your way home from work tonight and you have a $30,000 life insurance policy in place? And then they're like, well, he'd probably be fine. Right. Okay. So which option do you want to leave behind to him? And then I'll tell him, so now at least you have something to like, go talk to your husband about too, and if you guys decide you want to raise it or lower it, we can do that, but let's at least see if you're approved for coverage.
I like that. Yeah. That's an objection I feel like we get often on telesales. The one that I was thinking that you guys were going over, you said something about the son. There's only one. Darn it! I just had it. It was a think about it that you and Mel were talking about, how you overcome think about it. Oh, you said a think about it is not going to protect your son.
Oh, I say a quote isn't going to protect your family.
Oh, a quote. That was it. Yes. a
Yeah.
quote. I just
Yeah.
want a quote. Well, a quote isn't going to protect your son.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
I use that. I've used that quite a bit. Like, and they're like, oh, I just wanted a quote. And, you know, and I'm like, maybe you're not understanding what I'm saying. Like I said that to a girl today. I was like, I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. So I'll back up a little bit. So I'm a broker. Okay. So that means I work for every insurance company that you can get. Okay. And so I have all the options for you. So my job, I'm not a salesperson. My job's to find the best deal for you. I work for you. Okay. And then if they're like, I just want a quote, I'm like, you know what? A quote isn't going to protect your husband when you pass away, you know, and
Right.
then it just makes them uncomfortable.
Right. You have to make them uncomfortable because if they're living in their comfort zone is getting Starbucks every day and not worrying about a $50 bill.
Exactly.
Or life insurance bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good. Thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing. Does anyone have any extra questions you want to chat in the box? Otherwise I'll give her, you can give us any like departing tips and then I'll let you get off here. I'll give it like 2 seconds, but I think we got most of them answered from what people were telling me. But yeah, any departing tips in terms? Oh, go ahead.
I had one quick one. So you might have went over it, but I might have missed it. So when you're sending them your information over at the beginning of the call, you're saying, "Hey, are you sending over a link to your information or edifying who you are in any way, shape, or form?"
No, I'm just giving them my state license number, my national producer number.
And that's it. And they're generally okay with that.
Yeah, most people don't really care. Some people I have had to get on the Department of Insurance with and just be like, I can send you over a picture of my license. I've never had to send over a picture of my license. Actually, no, one time I did. I had to send it to this lady and she was like, okay, I believe you. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Or, hey, you know what? I totally understand. There's a ton of scammers out there. Let's hop on a call. Let me get the Department of Insurance on the call. When Orlando did that one day, the guy was on speaker, got him on, and the Department of Insurance was like, yep, he is who he says he is. And the guy's like, okay, that's all I need. And then
I didn't know that. Calling them, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So they'll verify, they'll verify who you are. To avoid scam likely, if you go onto calltransparency.com, it's free. You can register your number so it doesn't pop up as spam, or whatever.
Can you say that one more time?
It's calltransparency.com.
One more quick question. Do you change your area code to whatever area you're calling in, or you just use the same area code?
No, I 100% use a different area code. I use whatever area code. If I'm in Texas, I can use a Texas area code.
And what app do you use for that?
On the phone, it's called Burner. It's just like a burner app, and you can get 3 lines. It's $10 a month. And so
that's what Gage uses.
Yeah, I just have one for each states that I work.
Sweet,
and then the next one is, do you use this on just live transfers, or do you also do this as CRM leads and treat them like live transfers?
This is the script I do with everybody. I run some live transfers, not as much. Like today, I was just dialing all leads. And I use this script. So even if it was a live transfer coming in, I'm a little bit more to the point with live transfers. Especially if you use a system where, they'll refund you or whatever. But I just typically use that script every time. I have it memorized.
And she's mostly doing, like she stated earlier, is a 1 month and then instant internet leads. So she's mostly CRM leads that she's just one call closing.
And I have lately, I've switched it up because I wanted to try mortgage. I've been running the 1, 2, and 3 month mortgage. Whew. Those are fire.
Yeah, so good. I know. Those ones are clutch.
Yeah. And game time. If you want, some higher quality leads, the non-med term leads are great.
Yeah. Those are meant for telesales.
Yeah. I spent $1,000 on those leads and I wrote 13 grand off of them.
Wow.
Yeah. They're crazy.
And then David asked, do you use call transparency daily, or how often are you having to use calltransparency.com?
So That's a good question. I just register my number once, and then sometimes I have to register it like every other week.
Depending on if you change numbers.
Yeah. So every time if you change a phone number, always register it on call transparency.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So, yeah.
What are the most common objections you hear when you call to close, or what helped you get better with them? I think we went over most of all the objections, but if you have any others you're thinking of.
I think some people, are like, oh, because of COVID, or, oh, I don't like doing anything over the phone. And I just blame it on COVID. I'm like, well, in case you didn't know, Mary, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so for your safety and mine, they're not sending us out to homes right now. We can hop on a Zoom call if you want. I've never gotten on one Zoom call, and I'll say even like, hey, I know it's weird. It's really weird to me too, doing business over the phone. But, hey, my friend just refinanced her house and did it all over the phone and DocuSign,
That's a really good, using analogy is always huge because people can think of that. And, oh, yeah, you're right.
If the biggest thing with telesales, this is like what I've figured out. You have to like find something common ground with them, right? You have to relate. You have to be set apart from just being like a telesales. Like, I'm in the home, let's get down to business. Like, they will hang up on you, because they just think you're another spam or sales
telemarketer.
Exactly. And you have to, whatever objection you get, you have to understand, say, hey, I get it. I'm the same way, and relate with them, and then tell them why. Like, I get it, but this is why we do it this way. And when you do it that way, you're validating, just like in a relationship, right? Like you want your feelings validated, it's same with your client. Like, they want their concern validated, so that's the biggest thing with telesales is just, you have to find something to relate with them on, and you have to validate whatever objection that they give you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Any departing tips for a brand new agent? And then we'll hop off here.
Stay on Zoom. I love that you guys have Zoom. Like, I tell people, I will not work with you if you're not on Zoom, your camera's not on, and you're not unmuting. Like, what are you doing? Michaela's a beast. All the leaders that she has, all these logos, people are on Zoom, they're presenting. If a new agent thinks that like they're too good to hop on Zoom, and unmute, you're not going to make money here, because what you don't know, you're not going to learn. And if you're not in an environment where people are teaching you and helping you, like, you have some of the best leaders to work with, like, take advantage of that. It blows my mind how people get on Zoom, turn their camera off. I'm like, did you guys like not go to a job before? You know what I mean? Like,
you had to see someone face to face, and
yeah. Like, our culture on our Zoom, like, we made it a rule. Cameras are on. If you're going to be on Zoom working, like, your cameras are going to be on and you're going to be unmuting, or I'm not working with you, and so, because you're not being set up for success, so, and just get out of your comfort zone. It's uncomfortable for me to unmute in front of like my agency, I'm like, well, I messed that one up. What could I have done better, guys? It's like, we're all human. Like, I'm not perfect. I read a script, and I know how to talk to people. Like, so get uncomfortable. Your comfort zone isn't going to make you money, so that's the biggest thing. Like, absorb the support and the leaders that you guys have here. Be on Zoom, be plugged in. It's the biggest thing, biggest advice.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Drop a fire emoji if that was fire, because I know everyone's feeling that way.
Thank you so much.